And then there's people on, what is it called, Cloud Song, YouTube. Is that different than Cloud Song? I remember my assistant once, when that started, she said, "We just went into the clouds." I said, "I don't want that. I want it on paper." She said, "Natalie, it's a new term for." So let's see. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay. So first, I want to say that this is the last day of January. It was a long month. A lot of you were in practice period for a month and studying the Blue Cliff records, which are koans. And during this month, there's two outside larger Sangha members, Stan Crawford and Scott Momaday, who were great writers and practitioners in their own right and died. Stan was 86, and he wrote a book called The Garlic Testament, which is one of his books, and he was a garlic farmer for many, many, many years, lived in Dixon. And Scott Momaday was originally from Oklahoma, but his parents found work in Jemez Pueblo. So he was also from Jemez Pueblo. I could go on about these people. Scott Momaday was a great writer and wrote a book called House Made of Dawn, which I taught actually with Wendy Johnson years ago. And it won a Pulitzer. And it broke open native writing. And it won the Pulitzer in 1968, way back then. And it broke open everybody. So maybe sometime I'll give you a talk on that. But today I'm gonna play Zen. I can't get away from it. I've been studying Judaism lately, mostly because I was heartbroken about what's going on, and I was never brought up knowing very much. But I'm soaked in Zen. You can't get away from it when you sit a lot. So I think on the website it said Goutet's finger. And I think the person who I sent it to, I can't remember now, when they asked what was the title, I wanted to use the Chinese title, the Chinese name. And for you who don't know, and maybe you all know because there's so many books now on Zen, but back when I was a kid in Zen in the 70s and 80s, we didn't know very much. So I was with Katagiri Roshi, he was Japanese, and the world was Japanese. But actually, Bodhidharma came from India to China, and Dogen went to China to learn and to find his teacher and to find what's going on up there. And then he came back and brought a lot to Japan, and then China kind of closed down on its legacy. But Goutet, I wasn't sure, but it's in the Blue Cliff record, and it's actually the Japanese. And so I think it was last week, I don't remember when, but Noah and Wendy Lau were near the little, the sink, near the little sink, the round sink. And so I asked them because I thought they would know. And they said, Judy, we've never heard of that. Well, that was my pronunciation. And I realized I met Judy in 2000, and I didn't go all the way through and penetrate it. So a year ago, okay, Judy, I liked it because I thought I could pronounce it. It looked like, and Noah said, why don't you just say Judy, Natalie? And that was what I was thinking, but I acted like it was Judy, which I thought it had a little Chinese flavor to it. But really, over the years, I spelt it Jeudi, which in French is Thursday. So I was grabbing for something, but it's Judy's one finger, and it's case in the Book of Serenity, which is similar to the Blue Cliff record. Some of the notes from years ago fell out, which is similar to the Blue Cliff record, but usually, what was I? We didn't study koans. What were we? My goodness, I've really lost everything. Anyway, so it'll come back to me. So anyway, so I studied Judy in the Book of Serenity. And it was the last one I did. I went in 2000 for 2 months and just night and day studied the koans and had a big chart, a big map of all the lineages, and I was figuring things out. And so now the Chinese, which we think, we don't know with a culture. Like I would watch Katagiri. I mean, I knew nothing about nothing. I knew nothing about nothing. Is that correct? Anyway, I would watch him because we didn't have any books. What is this? And I remember one day we were doing oryoki. It was during Sesshin, and someone in front of him went like this, yawned, and didn't cover their mouth. And I watched very carefully. Katagiri's nostrils flared slightly. That's how close we were watching everything. And I learned then how hard it is. Am I supposed to do something? No, I like it like that.
Try to not have it on the camera.
Oh, okay, of course. Of course, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine.
Is that better?
A little more down. Do you want me to get down too? So it's very hard to penetrate a culture. And so we have the idea that Chinese, with their great legacy, it's been wiped out. It's very strict now, and it's not, and there's no freedom. But suddenly they're translating all my books into Chinese. And they just wrote me, an editor. They've been doing it for a while, but an editor just asked if they could use my paintings for the covers. And I said, oh, you can have them for free. I said, you have a great legacy behind you. I thought I'd cause a little trouble. I wanted them to remember it. And she wrote me back and said, yes, you mentioned Tang Dynasty and Wang Wei. And then just spontaneously, she said, I love you, Natalie Goldberg. I thought, wow. I thought, we don't know. We don't know what goes on in a culture. And in the Japanese, I've been studying them for a very long time. I really don't know. And I've been to Japan several times, and I've been to the monastery in Japan. on the Japan Sea, we don't even know our own culture. We don't even know ourselves. And we presume a lot. Anyway. And now you have the new culture. I guess we all have it with the iPhone. And I often now have learned how to dictate. And you know, the iPhone comes up with crazy things, but I just send it anyway. So I was going to Phoenix. I have to just tell you this because so I was going to Phoenix, which is, wouldn't normally go to Phoenix. And I was going to go because I've heard about a pizza place for 10 years. And finally I decided I would go. So I wrote this to Katie Arnold. I dictated it. And Natalie's going to Phoenix for pizza. Oh, she must mean pizza means zazen, you know, because the two Z's. And I said, no, Katie, I went for pizza. So anyway, before I get to the koan, I want to just say a little more. I was thrilled about a month ago, Noah gave a talk, and it was the first time I heard in Zen the mention of relaxation and relaxing into Zazen. And I've been aware for a long time that I didn't know how to relax, and that I thought relaxing was you lie on a couch and eat bonbons. But actually, what I admired all these years about Katagiri Roshi, and I remember running out one day when he was standing by the curb, waiting for somebody to pick him up for a train or something, and they were late, and I ran out frantic. We don't know, we're late, he's late, and he might not come on time. And he turned to me and just said, thank you. And he just stood. And what I realized, what I admired so much, he was relaxed, standing, and it really helps relaxing in sitting. No one ever told me that. You just sit. So I must have been relaxing. And it was a year ago. And I know it I mark January is usually when Wendy Johnson comes. And she's a really good friend of mine. So a year ago, we were hanging out in the afternoon at Upaya. And I walked home. We didn't talk about any of this. And I wasn't even thinking about it. And I felt a koan following me. It wasn't my brain, I swear. But you know, these koans, the way to understand them, the way to understand anything is make friends with them. Now, I never do that at the beginning. I fight them. Give it to me, you're driving me crazy. But finally you surrender, you relax, and you're friends with the koan. And really it's not separate from you. So I was walking home and I felt it. I wasn't thinking of it. And it was Judy, one finger. And I remember running into the house and putting my head under a pillow, go away, and was trying to tell me something. And what it was really trying to tell me, we're going to go through the koan, and I'll tell you now. It's been waiting a year for me to pay attention. And I want to say that many times this has happened to me where I want to be left alone. Because every time, we all push for awakenings. In my day, it used to be, we want it like LSD. And, but it changes everything. If you have an awakening and see something new, it first of all, it destroys part of your ego. Don't worry, we have very big egos, but it chips away at it, and your life is unbalanced. and you can't go along in the same way. So when I was working on it yesterday or a few days ago on this koan, I thought, Natalie, your real question is, why do you not accept it? Why do you just push it away? So I waited a year to give you a talk about this, and I didn't look at it till then. And usually I'm asked to give one during the practice period, and it was fine, they didn't. So I thought, great, I won't do anything. And Noah heard me mention it and asked me to do it tonight. So it's outside the practice period, and it's in a different book. And that often happens to me. I was a very good student. It's hard to imagine because I'm a troublemaker, but I gave everything to this practice when I was with Katagiri Roshi and never questioned anything. So it was always outside that it came in. So I want you to use your imagination. I'm not making things up though. And I want you to think of, I'll tell you and then I'll tell you. I'll tell you and then I'll tell you, okay? So jeudi, Thursday is in the French, is sitting in either it's a hut or a small temple. You'll see many versions. It doesn't really matter. He's sitting, and he's been sitting probably for a long time by himself. I don't mean a long time like 2 days, several years probably, by himself in a small temple on a mountainside. They have a lot of those in Japan, or it might be a little hut. He was and he's practicing and sitting, and there's a rainstorm outside, and a woman suddenly appears named Shiji, which actually is translated as reality, because he's been alone for years practicing. And she walks around him 3 times with a rain hat on her head and a staff. And she says to him, if you can give me one real word, I'll stay and I'll take off my rain. She says, I'll take off my rain hat, which means I'll stay. And he freezes. He's been alone and he's been practicing, as some of us have, really hard. But when reality, someone from the outside comes or a pizza comes, we don't know what to do. So he can't answer her. And so she goes around 3 times. And you probably have heard this one 3 times. And then and she stops at the door and says, if you can say one word, I'll stay. I'll take off my rain hat. And he's frozen. So she leaves and he jumps up and says, but it's raining out. Can't you wait till tomorrow? But she's gone. Can't we all relate to this? And this is only his one. He's not in any other book. He's in the Blue Cliff Record too, but only this koan, none others. And so he says, oh, my life is a mess. Who do I think I am? I'm going to pack up, and tomorrow I'm leaving, and I'm going to go to a monastery and study with a teacher and study with other people. And, he just puts himself so down. And he goes to sleep, and a little mountain spirit comes and whispers in his ear, don't go anyplace. Just wait here. Someone will come to you. So he wakes up the next morning and he remembers. He's not sure if it's a dream or not, but he remembers that the dream or the whisper in his ear. And he says, well, I could wait. I think he says 10 days. but a week, I could wait because he was going to leave right away. He was really mad and upset. So he says, I can wait, and he starts practicing again. But after that, I am leaving. I'm getting out of here. So he waits. He's sitting. He's not waiting. He's sitting, practicing. And suddenly, a teacher comes in and sits right opposite him. He didn't have to go anyplace. Master Tian Long. Noah, Wendy Lau, am I pronouncing it right? And he, only that connection to Judy, Tian Long, and Tian Long was with someone who was with Master Master Ma, or Mazu. There are great stories about them. But it was just one. So it was, Tian Long would never be known except he came in and sat opposite Judy. And so, and you've all experienced this of, you know, I'm sitting, but the whole time I'm sitting, I'm thinking, and it's yada, yada, yada. Oh, what am I going to do? Da, da, da. And it's just filled, constant. But that's okay, because you're meeting your mind. It's unbearable, but you're meeting your mind. And it's good because at least you know it. At least you know that your mind is like this. Many people, and most of us, hear that and follow it like it was a god. And really it is just the peripheral of the mind. Yada, 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 yada. And so he's sitting and so he's going on to Tian Long. I'm a waste of time. I practiced all this time. I did all this and nothing happened. And she came, he tells the whole story about reality coming in, and I've wasted my life, and he goes on. And you must have carried on like that sometimes in Dokusan. You call it, you're laughing now. I don't know, you call it something else now. I think it's not Dokusan. But you know, meeting with your teacher. And you go on, and what should I be here? And you know, and why should I be at, you know, here at Upaya? It's a nice place, but you know, I'm really a potter, or I'm really a writer, or I got a PhD. What am I doing here? I'm a medical student, da 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 da. And so he's going on to Tian Long, and right in the middle, to interrupt him, and we don't know which finger it is. This one, or now I've been interested in the pinky because Joan hurt her pinky. Roshi hurt her pinky. I always think of it as this one, but it doesn't really matter. He could have instead pulled a red rose any way to cut through. My teacher, who Kadagiri Roshi, didn't know a lot of English, so he would always cut through with "shut up." And that really shut you up. That was one really, well. So one finger. But you have to understand, he's been getting ripe, even though Judy doesn't realize it. He's ripening. All of you are ripening. You're driving yourselves crazy during sesshin. What should I do? Da, 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 da. But you're ripening because your whole body is sitting still. It's only the monkey mind that's going on, and you're only listening to monkey mind. And then once in a while, oh, my knee. And then monkey mind grabs it. I can't stay here any longer. My knee is killing me. This is ridiculous. I'm going to die. And it goes on and on. But you're meeting it. You're meeting it because you're still. And that's a wonderful thing. And then he holds up one finger, and Judy I don't want to say wakes up because there are many awakenings. It went all the way down, all the way down. So that, it's sort of like, there's the Torah, the Bible, and then the Talmud, the rabbi's commentary on it. And everybody loves to comment from centuries. Well, the same happens with these koans. Then the different teachers comment, and they, hundreds years later, 200, 500 years later, they make commentary. So one teacher said, this is awfully crude. His whole life, he just did one finger. And he was known as the one finger master. He did nothing else all those years. To everyone, one finger. And even the teacher who said it's crude, he said it's crude, but he went all the way down to the bone and marrow. And, Zen loves to talk about all that. Not well-being, but the ground of being. So went all the way down with that one finger. And his whole life, that's all he did. When any problem, one finger. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. And it was chasing me up Cerro Gordo. And I knew, but didn't want to know what was happening when he put up his finger. And it might not be a finger. It might be you grab these flowers or throw a book at his head. Whatever it is that cuts all the way through, he was totally right here, right here. Now, I want to explain something about that, because every time he put up his finger, it was an old hat or remembering back then. What am I going to do with this Zen student? He's driving me crazy. I'll put up my one finger. Every time, it's not a memory. He completely feels the experience. He's present. When I first heard, and many of us, I think, you hear be in the moment. The moment was always very thin for me. Where is it? The moment, the moment. And I wanted a materialistic grabbing, or I'm in the moment. And once in a while I was in my body, but that's not it. I call it now the fat moment, because that fat moment has all of you. Your past, your present, but your past isn't past. It's right here, but not just yours. Your lineage, your friends, New Mexico, the universe, everything. Your culture that you don't understand, you're perplexed by, and the Japanese culture that you'll never understand, and the French culture that you know a few words, all of it. And that moment is nice and fat. And then out of that moment, you disappear. And I realize it's this koan that made me disregard memoir. Because memoir was big for me, memory. But it's not memory, it's completely here. Whatever it is, it's right here, all of it. So when Judy put up one finger, one finger, one finger, one finger, one finger, his whole life is in that. All his years of practice, everything. The woman who circled him, everything. And I'm going to read you just this one thing on his deathbed. And I don't know what, oh goodness, it's almost, I think I can read it without. As Yudi was about to die, he said to the people, I do have my glasses. I better get them out. See, I used to read without glasses, and just recently I've needed glasses, and I'm not used to it. I was very lucky. Okay, where is it? Okay. As Yudi was about to die, he said to the people, I attained Tian Long's one finger Han and used it all my life without exhausting it. When he finished speaking, he passed away. So his whole life, that was it. I think that's why I liked it. It was so simple. And I came from a very simple family, lower class, simple family. So I want to, in the next few minutes, I want to talk about sitting, because sitting is so dumb. But that's a compliment in Zen, and I'm sure you've heard me say this other times, that it's a compliment in Zen to be dumb. And sitting, just, you don't need anything. Even with writing, I need a pen and paper. But sitting, right now I need a chair, but when I hike, I lean against a tree. And it's so elemental. And it can give you everything. And it's really, that's all I did with Katagiri Roshi. We sat and sat and sat. And there's just something, because after a while, with your sitting, you think, oh, I've been through that one. I thought that one. Eventually, we never let go of anything except through pure boredom. Just like, oh, shut up, Natalie, enough. And then I'll whip up, something else will come up. You went through this. So really what you're doing is a thorough laundering, sort of like a washing machine. You're really laundering yourself. And it goes, oh, and you let go only out of pure boredom. That's what I learned anyway. So, and then you just kind of settle, like, mixing vinegar and oil. You wait till the vinegar drops and the oil becomes clear. And it does happen over time. And you think, well, Natalie, I just started sitting and I'm 85. It'll happen quickly for you. But it's just because you're already sick of everything. But it just is the settling. You just settle. And I feel sorry for people with all the internet stuff, because it really whips things up. And I remember when I was a hippie up in Taos, so before even Zen, I was practicing. I met Basho, and I followed this. If you want, what Basho said, if you want to know a tree, go to the tree. And now you think, oh, I want to know a tree, I'll type it in and, it'll come up and it'll explain what a tree is. You have to meet the tree. So what you're doing when you're sitting really is meeting yourself. Meeting, but I always call it the mind, because even though it has your specific details, it's how all minds work. You're not alone. There's, in our society anyway, maybe different societies are different. But it just stirs. monkey mind. Am I good? Am I not good? You know. So it's really good to just sit still. And I remembered and it's always for me outside. I don't mean outside, but that's helpful too. So I sit outside a lot. And then everything is with you, the trees and the ground and the rocks. But I don't know if I came late or whatever, but Wendy Lau was sitting out there. I didn't know how, just a few weeks ago. And so I came and sat out there, and it was only 15 minutes. And I sat, and suddenly, not the thin moment, but the fat moment. You know, sometimes when you have a fat moment, then you can really drop into it. And I was sitting right out there next to Wendy Lau. And I was sitting. Do you know what I mean by that? I was just sitting. There was nothing else in the whole world. So please keep practicing.
Creations are numberless. I vow to free them. Illusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transform them. Reality